Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is gonna be a bit different than my usual videos because this is my 10,000 subscribers special. That's something that I'm actually really happy about. So first of all, thanks so much to all those of you who have subscribed to this channel and who have been watching my videos all this while. I really appreciate all of you. Thank you. So a while ago on this channel, I made a promise that once I reach 10,000 subscribers, I would make a special video where I finally talk more about myself. Because so far, I've not really been talking a lot about myself. I've never given a proper introduction. I never mentioned my name, where I'm from, what I do. And perhaps because of that, there has been quite a lot of speculation in the comment section below. People think that I'm from Taiwan or Japan, Korea, Hong Kong, and so on. So I thought, okay, why not just make a video in which I just tell you a bit more about myself. So in this video today, I'll let you know where I'm from originally and also what I do. So let's just start with that. What do I do? What is my job? Obviously, I'm a content creator with this channel living in Canada, which I started about 2+ years ago, but I've only been working really intensively on this for about 1 year plus, and I've really seen a lot of traction because of that. And the reason why I started this channel was actually just to share my life experience here and share tips about daily life here in Canada. But what many of you may not know is that I'm also an actor and filmmaker. And no, I have not starred in any Hollywood blockbusters, at least not so far, but I have produced 2 of my own feature films in which I also acted as the main lead, and I've also had some roles here and there in independent film productions. So acting and filmmaking is kind of a long-term endeavor. It's not something that I really do on a daily basis. I do spend most of the time on creating content. But just in case you're curious and you want to watch one of my latest short films, then you can check out this link up here. That will take you to a short film I made about 1 to 2 years ago. And the short film here is actually on the topic of AI, about technologies related to Neuralink, and it's a bit dystopian. It has a bit of a Black Mirror-ish feel, so I don't know if that's your thing, but if it is, then yeah, just check it out. And besides this channel here living in Canada, I actually have another business which is called Multiple Careers. So Multiple Careers is a business that I set up to help people to escape the rat race to pursue a fulfilling and meaningful career. And I do that through my videos on my channel, the Multiple Careers channel and the Multiple Careers podcast here, where I talk about things like how you can find your purpose, how you can find fulfilling work and get out of your 9 to 5 and so on. And for my Multiple Careers business, I've actually written a book which is called Multiple Careers, Quit the Rat Race, Pursue Fulfilling Work. And that will be out as a Kindle book on Amazon.com within the next few weeks. And guys, I'll make sure that I will announce it on this channel once it is up on Kindle stores, so those of you who are interested in this can get it. So that is what I do for work. I do not have a corporate and office job, and I haven't had a corporate job for, I would say, about 10 years now. But anyways, that is not the topic of this video. If you want to know more about that part of my life, then yes, go ahead and get that book later on. Okay, my name. I haven't really introduced myself on this channel, and neither have I done that on my other channel. I don't know why, but from the beginning, I just prefer to stay anonymous on the web. But since I'm about to launch that book, that anonymity is going to be over pretty soon anyway, so I might as well tell you what my name is. So my name is Chuyen Tan, and yes, it is a Chinese name, confirmed, but no, I am not from China, and I'm not from Hong Kong either. So I was born in Germany in the city of Köln, or in English, it's called Cologne. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that city. For those of you who are soccer fans, I'm pretty sure that you know that city, and the city of Köln or Cologne is also known for its Kölner Dom. That's a very famous cathedral in the city of Cologne. So I was born there in Cologne, and my parents are Chinese Indonesians. So for those of you who are from Asia or even Southeast Asia, there's definitely no confusion. You definitely know what Chinese Indonesians are. But for those of you who are not as familiar with that part of the world, let me explain a bit further. So I and my parents are of Chinese descent, but my parents are second generation Indonesians, or third generation, I think second generation. So my grandfather was already born in Indonesia, and my parents were also born in Indonesia. I think it was my great grandfather who in the late 1800s or very early 1900s emigrated from China to Indonesia. And for those of you who are not familiar with Indonesia, perhaps you heard Bali. So the island of Bali is in Indonesia, and Indonesia is an archipelago which is located in Southeast Asia. So if you know where Singapore is or the Philippines is, Indonesia is south of that, and it's north of Australia. But anyways, I don't know why I went into so much detail just now, but I just thought that might be interesting to you. So my parents in their late teens moved from Indonesia to Germany, gave birth to me there, and then I lived there in Germany till I was about 4 or 5 years old. And my first language, or my native language, if you will, is actually German. The first language that I learned was German, and my parents only talked German to me. They didn't really talk Indonesian to me, except for the occasional word here and there, and they didn't teach me the Chinese language either. So I basically grew up speaking German only until the age of 4 or 5. Until then, my dad decided to move to the States to do his PhD there. So we as a family, we moved over to the States, and we lived there for about 2.5 years or so, during which I went to kindergarten and first grade in the States. And that is actually where I picked up my English. But just as I was starting to pick up the American English accent, we moved back to Germany again, and that was around second grade. And this time we moved to the city of Bonn. For those of you who are older millennials, you might know that Bonn used to be the capital of Germany, and now it's Berlin. Back then, Bonn was really a vibrant city, and it was really beautiful, and I totally loved it there. So then again in Germany, I only spoke German, no English, and no Indonesian. Until then, when I was around 11 years old, my dad decided that we should all move back to Indonesia. I mean, it was back to Indonesia for them, but for me, it was obviously my first time living there. I had been to Indonesia several times, but just very briefly for like 2 weeks or so to visit my grandparents. But this time it was supposed to be forever, a forever move. So we moved to Indonesia, to the city of Jakarta, and that is where I entered 6th grade in junior high school without the ability to speak Bahasa Indonesia. Bahasa Indonesia is the official language spoken in Indonesia. So that was a really, really tough time for me in the beginning because I didn't know how to speak the language. But very luckily for me, Indonesian is a language that is super, super easy to learn. My mother used to be an Indonesian language teacher back then in Germany, who taught Indonesian to German social workers who were placed in Indonesia, and most of them were able to learn Indonesian within a matter of 4 to 5 months. So that's also what happened to me. So in approximately half a year or so, I became fluent in Indonesian language, but still in the beginning, school was really a struggle for me. It was only after about 2 years that I started really catching up and finally did well in school. So moving on. So I lived in Indonesia until graduation, until 12th grade. And then guess what happened? I moved back again to Germany. Yes, I moved again to Germany to study there. And one of the main reasons was that, yes, I was fluent in German, but the most important reason was that at that time, at least, there was zero tuition fee. There was only an administration fee of about 60 euros for the whole semester for 6 months, which was extremely cheap. And living costs in Europe and Germany are also cheaper than in North America, so that was an obvious choice. So I moved back to Germany and got a master's degree over there. For those of you who are from Germany or who have studied there, then you might know what the university system used to be like. So back then, they didn't have the bachelor's and master's degree, but they only had what's called the diploma. And the diploma in an international context is usually considered equivalent to a master's degree. So that is what I got. I started off studying economics and then I switched to business administration. After graduation, I briefly worked in Germany, after which, yes, I moved back to Indonesia for personal reasons that I do not want to disclose here. So I moved back to Indonesia where I started my first career in banking. I was a project manager in banking at a large multinational bank. After a few years working there, I transferred to the branch of the same bank to Singapore. So I also lived in Singapore for 2 years. Okay guys, I know that now I'm actually going beyond telling you where I'm from, but I'm telling you about my whole life history, but I thought that this would be interesting just to give you some context. The fact that I have life experience living in so many countries, working in different cities, kind of gives me a different view on things, I think, and because of that also I thought that I might be able to bring an interesting perspective to this channel living in Canada, because when I talk about things, I can kind of compare it to how it's like living in Europe and Germany and also in Asia and countries like Singapore, Indonesia, and so on. Okay, I don't want to bore you too much, guys. So from Singapore, I moved back to Jakarta. And then about 5 years ago, I finally made my move to Canada because that was what I always wanted. Although Indonesia is a very beautiful country and Singapore is also awesome, it's so clean and safe. Since forever, I always wanted to live in a Western country. I always wanted to go back to Germany or perhaps explore another country. And since many of my family members are living in North America, in the States actually, I thought that it would be a really good idea to try and explore Canada and maybe settle here in Canada. And here I am now. I've been living here for almost 5 years in Toronto, and I must say that I have no regrets. I really enjoy it. I know that there are so many videos circulating on the internet talking about the plus and minuses, or maybe more about the minuses of living in Canada and why so many people are leaving, but I am not leaving. I am staying here. I love Canada. But anyways, that is a topic for another time. I do not want to go into too much detail on that right now. So where am I from? You could say I'm from Indonesia, but that's not the whole story. Or if I say I'm from Germany, that's not the whole story either. So maybe the takeaway from this video is that it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter where I'm from. It matters where I am now and where I want to live in the future. Okay guys, from here, I guess that there are some of you who might have some more questions for me, so feel free to leave them down in the comments below. I might not directly respond to them, but what I might do is that I'll take your questions and I'll answer that in my next special, which will be at some next milestone. Perhaps not a subscriber milestone, but something else. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video and you found it interesting, and I'll see you pretty soon in the next video. As always, thank you so much for watching guys, and have an awesome day.